Hello, hello, hello. My name's Ekello Harrid. This is the Academy, the Future Fiction Academy, and I am your instructor for the day. So, what are we doing today? We are talking about how you can level up your writing, your author business, your life as a publisher. And one of the best ways to do that is through education. And some of the best ways to get education in this day and age is to go to a really good conference. And boy, do I have a really good conference for you. I bring to the stage right now Mr. Russell Nohelty, and he is I guess, the one he calls himself the deity. he calls himself what is it you call yourself, Russell? The
Benevolent deity. It is poor to have the benevolent thing. Like, I'm not malicious, but that's of my company. I'm the co-owner of Writer MBA with my business partner, Monica Leonel. And then conference directors are Mel Jolly and Todrick Handel.
Wow. And that brings us right to the first subject. What in the world is Writer MBA as a conference? That is, what is your niche? What are you trying to accomplish with this conference?
Sure. So we are business school for writers in general, but really because we have there's two parts of the conference. One is our Future Publishing Mastermind, which is the first couple of days, and then that leads into the Writer MBA conference. And because of the Future Publishing Mastermind, we end up being very tech forward. We end up being like very futuristic. We end up having a lot of like really cool, interesting vendors and speakers like the Future Fiction Academy, among others. And so we have been doing this for 3 years now in Writer MBA. Last year, we did a mastermind. This year, we're doing a conference. But overall, Writer MBA has been set up to really be like how do you actually build a sustainable career? How do you make it work for you? And how can you get what you need out of it without a lot of fluff?
If you are interested in this conference, ladies and gentlemen, there is a link right there in the chat. We just put inside of the comments thread that comes along with this live stream. You have right there at the top. Just grab a link, go over, check out the conference. How about how do you want to tell me at least who's speaking at your conference?
Well, we have a lot of more. We actually have done a very bad job of announcing speakers, but a very good job of getting speakers. So the ones we've announced are Mal Cooper, who's going to talk about Facebook ads and creating super fans. Sarah Cannon, who is going to talk about strategic roadmaps to success. Jennifer Hilt, talking about tropes. Author Claire Taylor about blind spots. And then we have people like Dana Clare, who does direct sales, channels, Publish Drive. EAW will be there talking about AI, gamification. So everything from like taxes to gamification to developmental editing. We try to cater to people who want to know about craft and people who want to know about business, but really it's like how to utilize craft to make more money on craft. So to like use psychological triggers to make things hookier and such. Gamification we talked about. We've got a lot of good announcements coming up as well. I believe Steve Piper's talking. I believe Heather Hildenbrand's talking. Phoebe Ravencraft is talking. But I hesitate to say this because of how people think about conferences, but like, I actually don't care about going to conferences for the information. I mean, I love that all these people, I love that they're all going to be there, but it's way more important that they are in a room with me so that I can connect with them. than anything that they say on stage. Again, this is not to demean any person. Like, I love all of these talks. I probably listen to all of these talks. Like, I've learned from all of these talks, but I have learned way more from like Deborah Neiman being on a 20-minute call with her than I learned from like listening to her speak. Same thing with Nicholas Nelson. I learned way more running a conference with him than any information that he's going to impart. Like, the most important part of conferences is not information, it is connection. And we have been doing conferences wrong for the last, I don't know, how long have we been doing conferences in the author space? 50 years?
Yeah, something like that.
So there are people who can just mainline information and get everything they need by sitting in a talk all day. And this is not to demean them, but I think differently than that. To me, I go to
the world is made up of different folks.
Right, exactly. And like, you're going to get great information. I mean, every single person that I just listed is a world-class speaker, and they're going to blow your mind. But like, we also want to have things like 30/30s where they talk for 30 and do a product demo for 30, or like answer questions for 30, or do hot seats, or we want to have different things than you generally see at a conference, because we have catered to we have generally catered to one type of human, and that is a human in independent publishing who can write a book a month, who can put it up on Amazon, who can write to market, and who can jam ads through and have success until the next one comes through. And that is a misstep. That's not more than a misstep. It's a folly of the industry that's left 60% or more of the industry behind. And like, it's not fair. And it's luckily turning around to be more, to be able to include more percent of the population. But every day I talk to authors who feel like they've been left behind in this model. And we are building a conference for all of those people to actually realize that they're not broken, that like they can be successful, and actually they can be wildly successful, especially in this day and age.
The room where it happened. I want to be in the room where it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, and if I'm in that room and I'm able to both be influenced and influence in the same moment, it could be so much more beneficial to my career as an author. And you're giving that type of opportunity with this conference. It's a decent sized conference.
I think the last time we checked, it was about 150. We're hoping to double it by the end to get to 300 by the end of when we get there. But currently, our metrics are somewhere between 150 and 200, depending on what day and what metrics we look at, and like whether we're wish casting all the people or like but like it's probably going to be a minimum of 200 people, which is a good size conference, and we're only in our first year of doing the conference and our second year of doing the mastermind. But it's exactly what you said. Like, there is a group of people who like are forward thinking, are futuristic, and who have been told to stay in KU, sit down and shut up for like 10 years, even as they've been doing things. And one of the most amazing things about our writer to being in the Future of Publishing Mastermind conference is that like all of these people suddenly saw they weren't alone. Like, they were like, oh, other people have been talking about direct sales. Other people have been doing this weird thing. Other people have been using Kickstarter. I've been screaming about this on a mountaintop, being ignored for like 20 years. And suddenly, like, there's a room where like all of these people are together, like to be like their own self and find these strategies. And it's very gratifying. You know, I will say, like, it's not that you can't be in KU and be jamming through ads and having that kind of success, like, and do well at our conference and enjoy yourself at our conference. But certainly the weirder you are, the more like the more unique, the more like direct sales strategies that you employ, the less you feel like you belong at other conferences, the more you will feel like you will belong at our conference. And I think that's true for AI as well. Like people in AI, probably like I've known many for a long time, and they've been being their own like unique selves, like yelling into a void and being like, and so to be able to give a place that is like, I want to say safe. That's just like but like a place that they can.
It's okay to say safe. Feel safe to say
Yes.
safe.
I mean, we've been doing AI stuff for a while. Like we know how it was like 4 years ago, right? Like we know
Yes.
like 2 years ago, like 1 year ago, like really like in the last year, it's been like
Really like
violent.
stigmatized.
Yes, and that's changing, but like it hasn't changed yet. And like, I don't know, I kind of don't want to go when I go to other conferences. I'm not going to proudly say that I like do AI for my stuff. I'm just like, I don't know what room I'm going to be in. Whereas like, you probably know what room you're going to be in at Writer MBA. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very gratifying. I don't want to put like all other conferences on blast, but like
You're not putting all of the conferences on blast, because those conferences actually do a lot for a lot of people. I mean,
absolutely,
specifically, I mean, I like to tell people, especially people who try to like knee-jerkedly in a knee-jerk way criticize AI. I say to them, well, what about all of those neurally divergent people who need something like AI to express this story that is burning in their soul and they can't get it out any other way? And people just can't, because of their own personal situation. They usually cannot imagine. And by the way, imagine is the operative word. They cannot imagine, they don't have the imagination to understand the other side of the street, the other side of the equation that other people learn in different ways. So I get it. I get it. And I get this conference. I get the idea of it. And it's in March in New Orleans, March 15th.
March 16th is when the mastermind starts. March 19th is when the conference starts. And yeah, it's like easily one of the weirdest cities in this country for one of the more think differently conferences in this country in the writer space.
So that will be just, ladies and gentlemen, getting warm. Not hot, but it's going to start getting warm by the time this conference is. Go enjoy Louisiana and enjoy this conference. And it'll give you an opportunity to sit down in a room with like-minded individuals in whatever your specific thing is. If you need to, go ahead on and click on that link inside of this description, and not the description. Actually, I think I have one in the description also. But also just click on the inside the comments section and you can find out about the whole thing. Okay. So what's Wannabe? What's Wannabe Press?
Wannabe Press is my 10-year-old this year publishing company. I started it after buying the rights back from a publisher of all of my work. I bought all of my rights back for all of my books from a few publishers, and I started it. It's always kind of been like a chip on my shoulder thing, because like Wannabe is like, well, you're a wannabe publisher, you're a wannabe writer, like you're a self-published person, like you don't have the creds, you don't have the credentials to do this thing. And so like you can see our mascot, Melissa the Wannabe, over here is has that same chip on her shoulder. So yeah, I mean, we do comics, we do books, we do nonfiction somewhat. It's mostly our stuff. I've done Lovecraft, I've done romance, I've done so many books. Like I started in fiction mainly, and the nonfiction has birthed from that fiction because people kept asking me questions. I'll be honest, like I just wanted to be left alone. Like people asked me questions. I wrote a book and was like, "Will you leave me alone now?" And they were like, "No, I need you to do a course." And I'm like, "I don't want to do a course. Pay me a bunch of money." And they were like, one thing you learn very quickly as a creative type or as an entrepreneur is when someone wants to give you money, you should let them. And so I did the course. And then people were like, "Actually, I want you to just do book marketing for me." And I was like, "Okay, it's going to cost a lot of money." And they were like, "I have money. I have money for this purpose." And so I just kept growing and growing and growing until like today. But still, like I think what separates us from a lot of other companies is like we started in fiction. And fiction, it is not that people that start in nonfiction are bad, but there's a big difference between money being the means and money being the ends. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And fiction is all about
the difference between purpose and and anything else you do. Like,
right.
Do you have a purpose for what you're doing, or are you just doing it without any real goal and or ambition in mind?
Well, I think it's like money is the ambition, right? So how we've always been taught and why I think so many authors are vehemently against like marketing and sales stuff is because business people are taught to sell a thing and then money is the goal. Like, so it doesn't matter what you sell. Like you just like, I don't know, sell a widget, sell a this, sell a that. And every bit of like marketing advice is based upon like the product is agnostic, the money is the goal. But there's a huge stream of people, entrepreneurs, authors, creatives, basically most artists who like they care very much about the thing. It doesn't matter if you're a 7-figure author. Like if you're in publishing, if you're making 7 figures in publishing, you could be making 9 figures doing something else. Like you care about the thing. The money is the means for you to create the thing you want, but it's
or
not
more of the thing, more of the thing, a much more expanded idea of the thing, maybe a different IP a different variation on the IP of the thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think that even though I only recently had this discovery and like figured this out, I think it's one of the driving forces of my career and a lot of people that resonate with our work. It is because we consider money the means, not the ends. And when you consider money the end, it leads to a lot of decisions, a lot of like externalities, a lot of like it builds a different model than money being the means.
Yeah, when it's the end, it becomes a undue influence on the way that you earn it.
Right.
Meaning that you'll make these short-term choices in order to maximize your returns that won't have anything to do with the long time prosperity of a company that you might have.
Possible. But it definitely would make you buy that car wash instead of like make your book. It would definitely be like, well, you should go buy a gas station. You run a gas station really well. I don't
know, but you said like, didn't you say entrepreneur though? Like some people who are there just to make sure that the thing is the best thing. A lot of people just want to get that thing out there and have that thing seen by people And
Yes.
they want it, artists. You're right. Artists are very famous for not wanting to promote that. They want people to like their thing because because it's a beautiful thing to them. They think
Right.
it's beautiful, so therefore it should be easy for everyone to just see.
Right.
It's gonna just matric. It'll just float to the top because it's the most. And that's not how the world works. It can be the best thing in the entire world.
Well, but
And
like this is like when you think about like the writer artist relation, the agent artist relationship.
right.
When you have an agent, the money is the end. Like they're agnostic. They're just like looking for things that they can sell. Can I sell this? It doesn't mean that they can have high integrity and like sell and be agnostic to what they sell. I don't think it means like you're going to like not be sustainable. It just means that like, oh, can I sell this for $1 million? Okay, cool. Whereas like, even if for an artist, even if you would only make this thing if you wanted to make it. And like the way you think about money would be like, how can I make more weird little crumbs? How can I make more of these? Like now that is my goal. And I know a lot of people who like are in the money making business writing space, and like they care a lot about the product that they make. They just don't care if they're writing about paintings or toilets, or like to them it's like it doesn't matter. Like my bank account grow, I get to write, cool. And
That is very much the way that most artists look at money. They're like, oh, okay, I get to like not starve and live in a pretty decent place, but I get to still do the thing I love to do.
right.
They're like, it's all about that. Who cares about the money? I got a roof over my head. I get it.
Well, and I think you can, and we live in a day and age now with direct sales, with AI, with all of these things where like, what did Sam Altman say? The first one-person billion-dollar company is like on the way.
Yeah.
Like, so like you can do so much. Like you don't have to be, you can be a weird little crumb without being a poor little crumb. Like you can
Yes.
be, like you can make money. I just was talking to someone about this. Like you can be weird and want an audience and actually build that audience. This is not something that you could do as easily. I mean, definitely 20 years ago, but even like 10 years ago, like it was a lot harder to make a good living because the direct sales tools and and authorship were not there. Like they just like didn't exist and no one wanted to use. So like you could make a killing, but like you had to go and like figure out like what Pat Flynn was doing and like what Russell Brunson was doing, what all these like people were doing like that. And then like
yeah,
act.
you
And I
didn't
know
even
because I
have the
did that.
tools. Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't even have the tools to take care of this. So all of these things kind of culminated in you needing to start a press that helped people do these different things, and that's how you ended up the benevolent deity of Wannabe Press. So how do you use AI in your business? Do you use AI when you're writing? What type of writing do you use AI in? All of those sorts of things that inquiring minds at the Future Fiction Academy want to know.
So fiction for me is a compulsion. Like I have to write it because the voices in my head demand to get out. And so the one reason I write currently is because I want them to shut up. So if I give them 1,000 words a day, they'll just shut up and I can get through the day. And so that's what I do. So I don't use it for fiction, but I use it a lot for nonfiction. And a lot of it is, for me, the nonfiction is the framework. Like these are the 5 bullets in the like the rest of like the words to get it from like 300 words to 2,000 words, like they're irrelevant. Like they just like need to exist. But I wish we lived in a world where like your 300-word article could be enough, but like we just like need more scaffolding. And so I
Right.
use nonfiction a lot to build from like a 200 or 300 word article to like 1,000 or 2,000 word article.
Yeah.
So it's more so. But I've been using them. My favorite use of this, my wife taught me, was I've been taking our presentations, and I've been creating like from the presentation, I've been like feeding the transcript. So it goes PowerPoint, which I know you can do a PowerPoint in AI Copilot too. But for me, I already have all these presentations. And for me, a part of it that I need to do is like to figure out the framework, which is how I get the presentation lets me like put the framework together so that I can talk about it. And so like it goes the presentation to transcript plus PowerPoint into Claude. And then that leads to an outline, and that outline, then I upload one of my books, and I say drafts part 1 draft, because you can't really draft more than 1,000 words. Like it just won't. It doesn't want to draft.
What are you using?
Claude and ChatGPT. Every time I go more than like 1,500 words, it always like goes back and it makes it 1,500 words, even when I add more things. So I have found for my own ease, it is easier to just say draft part 1 A, draft part 1 B, draft part 1 C, draft part 1 D.
Are you using the chat interface when you do this?
Yes.
Yeah, we should chit chat. I will give you a couple of things that might help you get over that little hump. That's sure. At some other point, we won't do it here, but I will definitely.
EAW says I got to just go straight to the API, and that's like the biggest thing.
Was one of the things that I was going to say to you, but
I know
that's a class for another day.
Sure.
but you do use it to kind of get a meat on the bone sort of thing. So you come up with the idea, you come up with the sections, you have it help you with the actual framework of how the book is going to go. You kind of get it to where it's you can start filling in sections, and then you do a lot of the legwork, or you kind of do a little bit of a generation / you combo thing when you're
I'll usually take it, and now that I've trained it a bit, it gets pretty good at building out the framework without me doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of work with it when it's like I have this idea. Is it valid? Like, is it a thing? And that usually takes a lot of me going back and forth. Like the more that I bring to the process, the less work I have to do. So like if I'm feeding it my transcript, and my PowerPoint, I don't have to like do that much. If I am saying this is a thought that I had, build it out, then I'm doing a lot of work.
Oh, look here. We've got EAWs in the house. So happy going to be going to New Orleans this March. Who will she see there? She's going to be speaking, y'all. So definitely think about going to that link at the top of this comment thread, and you can go over to writermba.com and sign up for either and or both.
I can say also that we are planning to have a very cool event that is we are not far enough along with it to officially say, but if you are into AI and
there
you
might
want
be
a conference that is friendly to AI, and was friendly to AI before being friendly to AI was cool. We are a good one. Monica and I have both used AI extensively in our work. We are very pro. I got an article yesterday that was like very anti-AI, and I was like, I'm not going to accept this one. I accept a lot of articles, but I don't want to be negative to any technology. I am fine with you, whatever your thing is, but just do it. Be a little crumb over, keep your little crumbs over there, and I will stay over here in my like neutral about AI to positive about AI like spectrum.
Yeah, there's a I can feel the winds shifting though. Though you can feel, you can like that you're on a sailboat and the wind just goes and makes the whole thing flow the other way from that little modification of
but those people.
direction.
Yeah, so like I've been dealing with direct sales for a long time at Kickstarter specifically, and like I remember the people that like were anti Kickstarter and then switched over. Like I didn't remember. I'm like, okay, but like you are like on a bandwagon. Like you don't actually care about the thing.
I'm like
like, do you care about the thing? Or are you just here because like now it's the hot thing? And
it seems almost quaint. It's like being anti-internet or anti-computer.
Yeah, 4 years ago,
anti-pizza.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to say they were as vehemently against it as they were with AI, but like, I remember, like, it was not that long ago when like a lot of people who are now very pro Kickstarter were like literally making fun of me and like calling me a scam artist to my face and behind my back. And now I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, do I want to promote your Kickstarter? Do I want to like be there and like not to be but like I do think there's something to the like, oh, like we've been very publicly pro AI since, I mean, not since the beginning of AI, but like since ChatGPT launched, with like like a few months exception where like Steph set me straight. And she said,
Steph is good. Steph is good for setting folks straight. She will set you straight.
Steph said the thing about disability, and she said something along the lines of, paraphrasing, it's like, if you think Stephen Hawking deserves to write his book, then no one's anti-AI. We're just, how pro AI are you? And I'm like, that's a really good point. And I got COVID, and I'm like even more on board with that thing now.
It's amazing isn't it amazing what perspective we'll get?
I have been chronically ill since I was 20, in my 20s. And like, I know I look like I look like a type of human, but like I am not. I've been sick most of my life, like almost more of my life than I was not sick. Right. Going all the way back to like severe depression and anxiety in my like teens. But like, yeah, I mean, once you make that point, it's like, oh, well, like, yeah, obviously, like you could use, like, I don't know what the right thing is, but I tend to think the people that do best at Writer MBA are very open-minded. And if you are closed-minded to AI, you are probably closed-minded to many things. Not that I'm saying
marketing, all kinds of weird things.
Yes, a lot of the things that like we care about. I do not care if you're like, I won't use AI. I don't even care if you say, I have a lot of objections to AI. I won't use AI. I think that I'll never use AI under any circumstances. People are talking
haven't
on
a circumstance yet that they need to, but they
have, because they're talking about it on an algorithm. Like they're talking about it on a social media platform. And like, if you can't at least see the hypocrisy in that, then like you probably aren't going to be very good at our companies.
Russell,
at like our company.
Russell, of course they can't see the hypocrisy because they are not being full of hypocrisy. So yes. I don't understand what you're talking about. There's no way not even in my vocabulary, hypocrisy. I'm right. Saying that's the attitude that I get, especially with the way that the wind is changing. All of a sudden, people kind of like to conveniently rewrite their
Sure.
particular role in history. I will, in order for us to make these transitions into the future and use these technologies the way we need to, I have to say that making these compromises, understanding that people are going to shift views, is the best way to let them be and let the world move on to a better, much more inclusive place. There are so many I have a very good friend. I took him to football camp this year, and he's a 70-year-old intellectual, and he's very, very well read and written person. And I told him the company that I work for, making videos for, and he said that, and he made this flippant statement that said, I said, we help people use artificial intelligence to help them write. And he says, well, isn't that an oxymoron? Well, using artificial intelligence to help you write. And I went, now you're just being completely and utterly exclusive. You're completely taking all those people who are neurally divergent off the table. They aren't allowed to write books. They aren't allowed to write their stories. They aren't allowed to change the world. And I spend a lot of time on like my old channel and this channel explaining to people that write how powerful they are. I mean, from the Odyssey to Mein Kampf, they change minds.
But that's a great point, because like those two books had very different outcomes, but they were the same thing. Like both of those are bound in a book, and like they are written on dead trees, and one of them like had a very positive impact on the world,
and another
and the
one
other one destroyed the world.
And it's those sorts of things, those sorts of powers, those sorts of privilege that we are basically just taking away from the normal person, the common man, just taking it completely out of their ability to be able to achieve these things that we study really hard doing. Whoa, let's see, what is this here? Let's see. Elizabeth says, yep, the AI we have today is just a predictive algorithm. How we all have been selling these books for a long time.
Amazon. That's Amazon, man. Like Amazon is an algorithm. Like it's the same. It's built on the same backbone. But like, to go back to like a Writer MBA, like we want to make a large writers conference. So like generally, if you had money as the end goal, you would like probably not take on a controversial topic like AI to like shim off the things for a bunch of people. But because like we're more interested in the group that we're catering and building a long-term like future, that's where money is the means to make this better end. Like we make different decisions, like being very, very pro AI, and like being willing to be dunked on because of that. And it's not just AI. I think we are open to the future. And like to be open to the future, we like have to be open on some level to AI, because just like Steph said to me all those years ago, it's like we are not, once you admit that like one human should be able to use AI to write, then we're not having an argument about like whether people can write or not write with AI. We're having an argument about like where the boundaries are. And it's a very like, it is like a very, I know it's going from 0 to 1. This is like, well, how much is it? But it's like an enormous difference. It is night and day if you say absolutely no and under one circumstance, because one of those people have made, do you know what the levels of change are? Where it's like 0 is you don't have any, you're not even open to change. And 1 is like you understand change, but you don't want to change. 2 is like you start thinking about change. And then like by 4, you're making so like if you were no, completely no, like there's a good chance you're no to a lot of things. Or like you at least think you're a no to a lot of things. And it's just like, I don't know how much I want to hang out with people. Like I know. So what always gets me about like people who just want to be in the same social area is like, I already know what a privileged white middle class man who's married to a woman and from the suburbs outside of DC thinks. I have no interest in finding out what more of them think. I know what they think. I grew up there. Like, I'm interested in finding more different perspectives and bringing them in to make like a more robust hive mind so we can all get by together. And it's hard for me to talk to somebody of the other persuasion who doesn't believe that, because it's like talking about to someone on Jupiter. And I don't know. I mean, I'm happy
I
to
usually equate that to, and this isn't their fault. All right, so I'm a singer.
Sure.
Actually, I'm a very good singer. I get paid. Used to get paid to do it, all that sort of thing. Recorded records, blah blah blah. So I consider that a superpower because the normal average Joe person just doesn't everybody just can't sing. It's not a normal thing. I used to think it was a normal thing because I went to a school, everybody sang around me, blah, blah, blah. But it's not actually a normal thing to do, right?
Exactly.
It is a divergent sort of thing to do. It's very, to make the decision to want to write is almost like that 0 to 1 sort of thing. Like the decision that maybe at some point I might want to go from just being a reader to a creation machine, a person that moves into this other direction, should not be an insurmountable barrier. It should not be a thing that says, oh, well, you're like this. You really, let's not have you write a book.
Right.
and
Well,
these opportunities that people don't get it. These opportunities make the pool of people who actually do that thing that you want to do bigger. More people at the conferences, more people in the room where it happens.
yeah.
More stuff, more changing of the world on a regular basis. It's incredibly important that we get more voices out there. What we should have is, I'm a sci-fi optimist, futurist, that sort of thing. I've always thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if we did have a population boom and everybody had to get off of the planet and we had all these O'Neill cylinders and people on Mars and all of these things and these gigantic space stations and everywhere, so that we can expand us from 11 or 8 or 9 billion people to more like 20 billion people. This gives us the ability to have 100, 200, 300 Einsteins, maybe in our ecosystem of hive mind, all at the same time, and think of the things that we could create as a society, the places we could go in the universe, the things we could imagine from all of those beautiful, wonderful, creative and or brilliant minds.
Absolutely.
And to have a barrier, any kind of barrier there to stop people from moving forward. I don't care what that is. I want people to have access to pen and paper so that they can write with their fingers. I want people to have access with AI so they can write with their mind. I want people to have access to microphones so that they can write with their voice.
Right. Well, I will say that, like, I mean, I tend to be, I try to be an optimist, but like every technology is with its downfalls, and like it has its pitfalls. 200 Einsteins mean 200 Hitlers. Like we have a bunch of like things that we like. We have a lot of. I appreciate on some level people that like push against the pure just optimism, but I do think like you should allow people access to tools to be able to make creativity, because like we're not going to the moon here, guys. Like we're writing books. Like there's never been a publishing emergency. Like it's like a book, like they're books. Like we're telling stories from people's minds, or like from minds that we're molding. Like whether you say that this person is a fiction AI writer or they're editing fiction, like editing is also a job. Like, did you know? Like
Yeah.
people get scripts and then they turn them into better scripts and then they release them. So like, do what we want to do, call them editors? Like, do we, like, I don't know. This just seems like a semantic argument at some level. Like people like, well, what about all the AI slop? What about all the freaking content farm slop? Like,
People
I don't
drive
know.
me crazy because I am neurodivergent. I read slowly. I will read a book if I really have to read that book. I will sit down, I will read that book, but I'd rather listen to the book, have an audio version of the book. It's one of the main reasons why I love this new 11 Labs reader, because I can take a whole bunch of things, drop them in, and just listen to whatever that thing is as a pleasant British storyteller dude. And it helps my neurally divergent mind. I was talking to my boss at Starbucks, and she's like, well, you're not really reading or anything because you're listening to it. She's like, it's listening though, right? I'm like, no, I am ingesting this and absorbing this, and it is part of my zeitgeist, my personal zeitgeist now, just like you reading it as part of your personal zeitgeist.
Well, it's wild, right? Because like there was a time not long ago when the only way to get knowledge was through orally. There was no written language. It was literally the only way you could do it was orally. And it's like,
then someone invented writing, and our first gate was created.
We're really way far. We're far afield from like the topic at hand. I see a bunch of questions over
No, that
here,
I was about to say we've got about 15 minutes left, and I wanted to get to this stuff. Let's start with writing and beats. How do you feel about Blue Sky as a marketing tool? As an author I follow said that it doesn't have true engagement, which hurts marketing.
This
What
is
do you
hard 'cause
think
I
of
don't
it?
have social media. I think you should only take in things that make you a better person, that make you a better marketer, and you should leave everything else. So the only good marketing is the marketing you do. I believe that. I also
Yep.
believe that people tend to diversify too much in their marketing, and they should pick one strategy, one platform, and one media channel, and just like 10x that. And if instead of doing all of this, if Blue Sky feels good to you, if you intuitively understand it, if you post on Blue Sky and get engagement, you should like do it. Like if you're growing your fan base without all of this moderation, like you should consider doing it. But you should only be on platforms that make intuitive sense to you. This is one of my biggest hobby horses currently. You should stop being places that do not give you an ROI. What I mean by that is if you on a platform, you are paying somehow money, attention, time, something. If that platform is not returning at least what you are paying towards it with engagement and money and attention, then like you should not be there unless you like it. Like I like Facebook. I understand there's a lot of problems with Facebook, but like it makes intuitive sense to me. I get it. I have friends there. My friends had friends, and I like to have that. It just like Substack makes sense to me, so I spend a lot of time there. Kickstarter makes sense to me. I spend a lot of time there. Like Twitter.
You know what? I just realized something. Christina was just talking about how they have kind of like they've been turning on, like there are certain parts of Blue Sky that are turning on certain parts of society that are anti-AI, that are a little witch hunty over there. Christina, guess what you get to do? In Blue Sky, you have a complete control over your experience. They can put all the people they want on lists that they want. Only people that will be on, the only people that will be looking at those lists are other people who feel like they feel. Now, you have to remember, I mean, and I get the whole, like, I mean, how extreme they're being. I put her comment up, but it was a little racy, so I pulled it back down, Christina. It wasn't because I don't agree with you, because I do. I just wanted to address it and make sure you understood I'm with you on this. This is bull that they are trying to create a atmosphere of terrorism where you feel afraid to use AI or let anybody know. I'm saying to you, I am willing to be the person that takes the hits. That's why I'm out in the front. So that these people can understand that they cannot bully people into or out of doing things the way they want them to be done. It is a legitimate thing that people have a super hard time writing, that have ADHD, that have head injuries, that have long-term effects of diseases, that have brain fog for any number of reasons. So you cannot tell me, no one will ever be able to tell me that what I'm doing, what I'm teaching, how I'm teaching it is wrong, because I know for a fact that it helps so many people. I mean, am I right, Russell?
Yeah, I mean, not the part. I don't agree with the part about being on the front line taking hits. That's a you thing, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, look,
I am
there's
the
a
one.
movie we
I
can't
will
talk
take
about
that hit. I will
that had a
take that hit.
specific sword, and that sword thing was it only took in that which made you stronger. I'm like,
Yep.
I'm not going to name the person. I'm not going to name the book. I'm not going to name the sword. But like, I think we need more of that and less of I'm going to be everywhere and I'm going to be everywhere, everything all at once, because like it's just not feasible. To go back to the question, you should use Blue Sky if you can be on Blue Sky and it feels good for you. If it is anything other than fun, if you have anything other than a positive experience, you should go find something else until such a time as you have maxed out every platform that you're already good at.
Yeah, and think about that, y'all. Maxed out any platform that you're good at, and a lot of people spend years trying to get good with Facebook, because Facebook keeps changing. I don't know if y'all knew that, but there seems to be a little switch in their algorithms every few years, and so you have to start thinking about your marketing plans and different things in different ways all the daggone time over there. What does it say? You can read however you want. I prefer the first chapter in the middle. He was talking about my audiobook comment. And Christina said here, keep quoting Hamilton, Ekello, making me want to re-binge the musical. Which, by the way, is on Disney Plus, if anybody has Disney Plus, because I love that room where it happens so much. All right. So all right.
There needs to be one more question here about
Let me see, where was it?
I'm a grassland type. What thoughts do you have for
Oh, let's hear.
2025
I
marketing
didn't see
tools?
that. Let me see.
So this is the great thing about marketing, about where we live now. I don't know if I don't know if you're going to think it. Like, there are no great barriers of like, there's not the next tech revolution. Like, all of the things exist. Like, there are going to be iterations. There may be VR at some point, but like, we spent 20 years basically creating the scaffolding as we were building the internet. And like, I have not seen one new thing on it since like really ChatGPT, honestly. I mean, there are other models, but like if you understood how AI worked, like you can like use Claude, you can use Gemini. You can use all these things. Like NFTs have been now around for years at a high level. Like platforms, Blue Sky is just Twitter. Like Threads is just Instagram.
Is just Twitter also?
It's just Twitter. Like these things are going to come, and like we don't have to try them because we've already tried them. Like, look, if you don't like Twitter, you are not going to like Blue Sky, and you probably won't like Threads. If you knew how, if you like how Facebook works, you will probably like how Substack works. So we live in a world that is, again, to go back to the information thing, that's like consume the next book. So what I would say, if you are a grassland type from our author ecosystems, is you are going to be doing all of these little energy penny things all of the time. Do like drop in a bucket, spend a little energy, do like a post, do like a thing, make your series longer and longer and longer and longer and longer, more in depth, and pick one. You picked one success strategy, which is the thought leadership content marketing strategy, which means you need to do these. Like this is that strategy. Like this is why I'm doing it, because I do a lot of grassland stuff. I just did a presentation earlier today. Like I did like all of these things, like cross promotion, like writing in other like whatever those things are. Like figure out what you need, what you will do this quarter, and do it. Don't do other it's. Like do the things you're already doing that you know work, and the one new thing. And if that one new thing works, do it again next quarter, and do it again, and then do it 2 quarters, and then you should be able to systematize it and like put it in like your bank of like cached material, and then pick something else, and then do it one thing, one platform, one strategy, and aim that every year you pick one thing. You get one new strategy, and over 10 years, that is 10 strategies. And I will tell you, bar none, if you pick one platform, one strategy, and one media channel, and you dominate it, you could become a 6-figure author, because like that is exactly what I did.
Did y'all feel the knowledge just being dropped? Holy crap. Very, very strong way to kind of, I mean, there's a couple other questions in here. We're getting close to the end of this wonderful event. Let me see here. But remember, at the very top of this live stream chat thread, the comments thread, you will find a link right over to Writer MBA. So make sure. I love this. Stacy says, I love this message. Yes, it's very much so. All right. So here's one other question from Writing and Beats. I subscribed to you on Substack. I know people tell me that it's not a substitute for a website, but it helps with SEO and engagement with readers. Is it helpful to keep engagement with readers? You mean you're talking about Substack? Is that what you're asking?
So like, I think the big thing about Substack is you should have a custom domain, because then you can move your custom domain to somewhere else. You can move it to a website, you can move it somewhere else, and it moves with you. I would also say, if you have a word like a russellnohelty.wordpress.com, you should get a custom domain for it. Otherwise, Wannabe Press has a domain on Substack. We don't have a website anymore. We ended it this past year. The Author Stack works on Substack as well. It doesn't have its own website. Writer MBA does, but we also have Substack. There's a world where, for some reason, we don't have a conference anymore. We would potentially move it to Substack, but like I think it's less. First of all, we have a whole book called The Author Ecosystems, which is on Kickstarter now, that very clearly refutes any person who tells you that you should do the thing, you shouldn't do it this way, you shouldn't do it that way. What I want you to do is have your eyes open of what is a good idea and a bad idea, and then make decisions that way. It does not matter if Substack helps, or if Substack, I don't even know why you would not want it to be a substitute for your website, probably because there's not like it's not very robust. But if you have a custom domain, then if you ever want to move it off Substack, Substack doesn't control it. Also, if you don't want to be giving Substack free publicity because it says .substack.com, and you don't want to be talking about Substack, you just want to call it the author stack or whatever your thing is, writing in beats, then you should probably have a custom domain so you can do anything you want with it. The people that don't do that, those are the people that are really locked in, because now they can't do anything with their blank.substack.com domain. So, I mean, I run most of my author stack business straight on Substack, and it works well.
Does Substack work with genre authors?
I think that the organic reach on Substack is mainly attributable for nonfiction and people who are literature, but they're doing Substack to teach writing or something.
Okay.
But there are strategies like joining, doing cross promotions or recommending other fiction authors. There's a community called Fictionistas that is very good, that can help you join. But if you're anything works, so Substack works for genre authors better than nothing. It works better than I don't know, I probably would say Wattpad or something like that. Royal Road, Radish would be better, because that's where that's where people gather to read books.
You should be able to, if you really want to, you should be able to publish your chapters as you write them on Substack. I mean, it's a
but I don't know about her. Yeah, her question was about organic growth specifically, though. So I just don't. I'm looking at my dashboard right now to see if how many new subscribers we get, but I get a lot on the author stack. I do not get very many on the Wannabe Press one. So yeah, I mean, works. My question would be better than what? Then again, nothing. Yeah, it's way better than nothing. It's way better than just having a WordPress account. Even if you only use it to that, sometimes you'll get a new subscriber, it's probably good to have it a one, because I haven't done anything on our Wannabe Press Substack. What's 23? And I've got I don't know, 80 new subscribers in the past 3 months. That's something. I mean,
it is.
I mean, many people, I'm sure, don't get 80 subscribers in years.
Yes. Very much.
But it is better for nonfiction and journalists.
All right. So, Russell, I appreciate you taking your time, giving us an opportunity to talk to you about this wonderful conference, how you use AI, and kind of your philosophy when it comes to business and publishing in general. Thank you so much for all of this. Thank you so much for being just real, bro. I appreciate someone being explaining to you how they honestly would do a thing. And there are so many people built around agendas, and I'm so glad that you didn't have one today. You just wanted to talk and have a good conversation. And we happen to promote a very wonderful, very future forward conference called Writers MBA. All right. Writer MBA, not writers, Writer MBA. So if you want to, everybody go to writermba.com. His name is Russell Nohelty. My name is Ekello Harrid. This has been the Academy, the Future Fiction Academy. And I look forward to all of you being in my next series of live streams. We've got a ton of really exciting things coming up, including something that we announced last week on the YouTube channel. Last week or week before last, it's called Plot Drive. We're going to have a whole big old launch and talk about it, and it's going to be so much fun. Russell, again, thank you so much. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in class. Have a good day.